Hey, thank you guys for being here. Let's go ahead and get this started. Welcome to the Apogee Strong podcast. Super excited today about our guest, Ty Dannenbring. I'm going to say that. And Jeff Dillon. They wrote a really cool book called Party in the Front. Been researching that, having a lot of fun with that. So welcome, guys. Welcome here. Super happy to have you here with our young men, the most powerful part of this movement. It's how it all began, actually, was the young men. Thank you for being here.
So cool. Yeah, glad to be here.
Great to be here.
So tell me about Party in the Front. I mean, there's just nothing else to talk about. You guys are way better looking than the cow or whatever you have on the front of your book. So help me understand, what is this? It's such a great, catchy title that you immediately want to know. And then the cover totally threw me. So help me out. What is this all about, Party in the Front?
Yeah, thanks. We had hoped that would be the reaction, and hopefully to want you to say like what's going on here, and actually turn some pages if you got the book in your hands. But it's a play on words. It's the reverse mullet, hopefully, and kind of that concept that would come with that too. Hey, let's shift from the back to the front, and really, with the actual Highland, the Highland cow there. We also want to encourage people to like, hey, be yourself, be okay with who God made you to be. If it's ugly or good looking or whatever, whoever you are, just that knowing that could actually help be a tool to connect with people. So there's more to it than that, but that's probably the gist of it.
Yeah, Ty and I got involved in this project. We've known each other through church for a few years. I'm actually a pastor of a church here in Colorado, and he approached me with this idea, this concept of party in the front, and really resonated with me because my family, just before COVID started, had moved into a new neighborhood where we kind of live off of a private, I call it an eyebrow. Apparently, that's not a term anyone else uses, but it's like a private street that people pull in off of the main street. So whatever you call that. That's where we live, and what that resulted in was our kids wanting to be in the front all the time, ride their bikes and do chalk art and all that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden we shifted our lives a lot from being in the backyard to being in the front. And so this idea just really resonated with me that, yeah, like being just in the front of our homes and being out there where we can make connections with people is such a game changer when it comes to building relationships. So that's kind of how I got brought into this. And we just started this journey of writing a book about it.
And I knew I didn't want to write a book by myself, and I'm not a writer by trade. So I hired the one writer I knew, which was Jeff.
Awesome. So that brings me right to my first question, which is like, hey, why did you decide to write this down? Like, what was the moment, or what was the story? What was the moment where you're like, hey, we got to share this with the world? I mean, it's one thing to have a revelation. It's one thing to think, oh, this is unique. But what was the thing that made you think, okay, we need to write this down. We need to get it out there?
I think that it was when we started to have conversations with people, maybe not specifically about the book, but like things that we're doing as a family and things that we're trying to shift ourselves from the back to the front, and it just really started to resonate. So it was like, hey, there's something to this, and it's just been fun to see the journey kind of take place. But yeah, it was. I can remember actually, I was. Mowing my lawn, and I was in the front yard when the title of the book came. I was like, okay, now I have a title and I have the concept, and it's working and it's resonating, so we've got to do this. And then Jeff was like, yeah, let's do it.
Love it. Love it. And so this whole concept of from the backyard to the front yard, like why would anyone want to hear that? Like what is the main reason that someone's gonna be like, hey, yeah, I got to get into my front yard, right? Because I mean, I like it. I mean, I think I see it, but I want to hear you say it.
Yeah, I think it is because we were created to know other people and to be known. And that is just something that is in us, that we believe that God placed in us. And so it just resonates because of that. But yeah, Jeff, do you have anything to add?
Well, one of the things that was really significant in the process of writing this book, actually, I think in 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General released a report on what they called the epidemic of loneliness in our country. And so our government was actually researching and paying attention to this idea of how lonely people were. And obviously a lot of that was exacerbated, was made worse during the COVID pandemic. And for a while there, like we were told not to connect with other people. And so there's just a real serious concern with loneliness. And I think, some of the statistics are just shocking. I think it's about 60% of Americans say that they have never had a meaningful connection with one of their neighbors. 60%. And then it's 20 to 30% of people, especially younger people, just don't even know any of their neighbors at all. And so there's this recognition even in our culture of this idea of loneliness and this need to build bridges and build relationships. And I think for us as men, as husbands, as dads, we recognize that's a need where we live with the people around us. There's a lot of lonely, needy people around us, but also to your point, I think it goes even beyond the needs around us, and recognizing, as Ty was just saying, actually there's something in us that desires that relationship, desires to be known and know others, and that's a little bit scary sometimes. But like we want friendship. We're made for friendship. We're made for connection. And so that's really what motivates it, is this idea of it's real easy to hide in our homes, in our apartments, in our townhomes, in our backyards, wherever we are. But man, when we come to the front, when we make ourselves available, like that's where community, that's where relationship can really happen. So that's what's at the heart of it for me.
I mean, for me, I'm from South Louisiana, so I grew up an hour south of New Orleans, which was devastation zone for Hurricane Katrina, etc. What we have never been like that. We have always been in the front yard. But why? Because we know at any moment this storm can come, and your next door neighbor who could save your life, quite literally. I mean, quite
Yeah.
literally.
Right.
Many of us have stories of, here's the flood water. This guy's got a boat, you don't, or this. I mean, it. We know that we need each other in those moments. There are these forces so much bigger than us that in those moments, what we have is each other. And so that creates a culture where we get to know one another. I moved out to Laguna Beach, California, and was just, we were just our normal South Louisiana self, and we tried to get to know the neighbors and everything. And you would think that like we had four heads, like it was the craziest thing to try to get to know everyone. What I thought was hilarious, though, 2 years of trying to get to know the neighbors, we got to know one neighbor, really good guy. Thank you, Carl, if you're listening, for being an awesome dude. And everyone else just was like annoyed. And then COVID happened. And it was funny to watch. Everybody was suddenly in their yards and everybody's waving across the street and everybody wants to connect. But the thing is, the time to connect is not during the problem. Like the time to connect, everyone wants a support structure when bad things are happening, but that means build that when good things are happening. Like you create fun things that the people who will carry you through are the people you're having fun with in the yard to begin with, right?
Absolutely. And it's so cool that you're from that area too, because I went down to New Orleans for my first time last year, and we were in the middle of writing this project or writing this book, and so it was very much top of mind. And when I went down to the French Quarters, I was just so in awe of like just the structure of the houses, and yeah, everything has a front porch, and it's not just a front porch, but like the front porch is like right next to the sidewalk. Like you will absolutely see everyone. And I
And
can
they
just
will all
picture,
talk to you whether they know you or
yeah,
not. Like you will see
yeah,
everyone and you will be a part of their barbecue for the 5 steps past their house that you're walking.
yes, absolutely. I feel like it's like going into like Costco, you could like sample everything. So like you could just go down if you're hungry, just walk down your block and just sample everything from your neighbors, and you'll get full pretty quickly. And some pretty darn good food too.
So some of the greatest advice I've ever had in my life, and this is the true story, was just random people in the line at Walmart. Everyone is your friend down
Sure.
there. Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone just assumes they know you and you know them, and you people be like, "Hey, you buying that? Well, let me give you some advice." Okay,
That's
cool.
right.
Why not?
That's awesome.
So take us back, right? So this group is Apogee Strong young men. Like these are young men learning to become men, as we all have to do, right? Like because it's a daunting thing. All of us have to wrestle with this, right? Okay, I'm 12 to 18 and I want to be a good man. Well, what the heck is a good man, right? And it's other men who have to teach. My favorite quote is that about this is that the women make boys, but to make a man takes other men. right? And so as men coming to speak to other young men to take them on that journey, how can your particular story, this particular book, how does it help them in that journey?
Things that's been interesting as we've shared more about this book is that I think the message really resonates with men. Not that it doesn't resonate with women as well, but I think there's something in us as men that recognizes this need for relationship, this need for community. And we were just talking earlier, there's something that happens, I think, as we're younger in grade school and high school and even college, maybe friendships just come a little bit easier, and it's more natural just to have those connections with other guys. And I think as you get older and as you get into the professional world, as you get a job, as certainly as you start a family, like some of those things start to just get harder, and there's kind of this feeling that you almost have to become self-sufficient. And you've got to be able to kind of just do everything on your own. You can't ask for help. You've got to just carve out your own path in the world. And we just really believe in, and I've learned over time, like we're better together. We're better with other men at our side and helping us and encouraging us and challenging us. And so, one of the things that we're really finding resonates with guys is this idea of like, man, in order to build those relationships, it has to start with us recognizing that we need them and we want them. We need friendships. We need relationships. And we've got to be willing to take some vulnerable steps towards other men to build those relationships. And so I know that's a huge part of what you guys are doing is connecting guys and encouraging one another. I think that's at the heart of Party in the Front is that we are made for relationship, as Ty said. And as men, we've got to be really intentional and I think courageous in being willing to move towards relationships with other men.
What I think is crazy too is this is covered in every direction. So I know you guys come at this from a religious framework, but even biologically, right? If you look at Homo sapien, which is what we are, even in biology, even if you go to biology, what allowed Homo sapiens to dominate and become really the only species of person was our ability to imagine together. We could communicate. We could create community in a way that no other group could, right? Like, I mean, if you look at like monkeys can like say, yo, there's a bear, let's run away, right? But monkeys can't say, I saw a bear down by the river. We probably shouldn't go to the river. How about we go hunt over in the trees over there until we're sure that there's no bear by the river? Like they can't do that. We can do that, right? For our young men who are here, you may or may not know this. We are the only species on the earth that can clap together. There is no species on the earth except for the human being that can clap in unison. Okay, none. Even like songbirds and all, they just remember a tune, but they can't do it together, right? Why? Because we can imagine together. In order to clap with someone, and we can't do it on Zoom because that would just be a tragedy of all the different lag speeds of your internet. But but in order to do that, you realize you have to know when they're going to do it. You can't hear it and then do it because it's already over. Right. So in order to clap, like if you've ever been at a stadium, I'm thinking of soccer games in Europe, especially because they love to do that. But it's like 100,000 people can clap at the same time. That's crazy. Like think about it. Everyone has to know when we're all going to hit. And what really is fun is like it gets faster and faster. How does everyone know the exact rate we're going to get faster? Well, because we are a communal animal. Like we are built for community on the spiritual side 100% and on the biological side 100%. Like this goes through every part of who we are, right? Even when you look at technology, what are the apps that work the best? Like what are the apps that grow the fastest? The ones that are the most shareable, right? Like look, that's it. Like how easy is it to share the app? That's how fast it's going to grow, right? Why do you get an iPhone and then you never change, or you get a Android and you never change? Because then you wouldn't be able to share with the people who are on that platform. Like I got an iPhone, I was like, ooh, the Google Pixel is really nice, I'm going to do that. And then I realized I would lose all of my children. Now we can't text anymore.
Right.
Like I can't do it. I'm stuck, right? But that's great, right? I think this hits at the heart of what you guys are trying to say in your book.
Yeah, well said.
So let me ask you this. You have a chance right now, and you can't really see them as well as I can, but if you have the grid view on, you have a chance right now to speak to yourself. Now, I know that on this call, it's Bodie and Sauer and Seth and, a whole bunch of other names. right? But I mean, you were a young man, 12 to 18. My favorite call to come on in the whole Apogee movement is this call, because every time I feel like I'm talking to 14-year-old Kevin, who had a hard time of it, man. I had a hard time when I was a young man. I did not have the best examples. I did not have the best situation. And I was nervous. I was scared. I didn't think anything was going to turn out okay. But if I invited you guys to talk to young Ty and young Jeff, in context of everything you've done with the book, I mean, what do you wish that young man knew? What can you tell that young man from the man you are today? And hey, if he happens to have the name Cameron, Henry, or James, on this, or Jordan on this call, that's fine. But what would you say to young you that you've learned as old you?
I think, one of the things that I think I wrestled with growing up and becoming a man, becoming a young man, again, was this idea that like I need to have all the answers. Like as you get older, I think as a man, you start realizing, man, I need to know how to work. I need to know how to provide. I need to know how to fix things. I need to know how to solve problems. And those are all good things that yeah, we believe we're made for. But I think a lot of pressure gets put on us by society, and I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I think young Jeff felt like he had to do this on his own, and it wasn't okay to ask for help. It wasn't okay to be weak. It wasn't okay to make mistakes. I think if I talk to myself in that stage, I want to tell myself like, first of all, like it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. You're going to do a lot of it. Like just get used to it. It's okay. But also I would encourage him, like you need help. You need other young men and older men who can speak into you and speak into your life. I think that's something that I would want any young man to understand, is just how significant it is to have other people come alongside you and build you up and strengthen you and help you on the journey of life. And it's okay to be vulnerable in that, to admit that you've got weaknesses, to admit that you've got struggles in your life and that you need other people speaking into you and helping you. So that's what I'd want to tell myself is like, move towards other people, move towards other men. It's okay. And you're going to be better off with those men at your side.
Beautiful. And those men are going to backstab you and talk bad about you and be ugly, and doesn't matter, because we're all just foibly human beings, and that don't expect them to be perfect either. That's what I wish that someone would have told me, is like, when I get a community around me, they're still going to be awesome and crappy. Like people will
Yep.
still be awesome and crappy. Like everyone has their own weakness, right? Love
Yep.
it. How about you, Ty?
Yeah, a little bit of context. I grew up in a home that I'm grateful for, but it was still broken. And my parents got a divorce when I was younger, and so I had insecurities coming from that. And you know, I want to share a story about when I was actually in graduate school, or had just finished graduate school, and I'm an extroverted person, and I love building community and being around people, but then things kind of came to a head at that point, when I didn't really have direction. I was finishing school. I thought I knew what I was going to do. I then figured out quickly I wasn't going to do that. And a lot of things happened in a short amount of time, and I fell into this really deep depression. And I would tell myself like, it's it's going to be okay. And you need to tell people what's really going on in your heart right now. You have to be vulnerable, because that's actually going to be the thing that's going to save you, is to be vulnerable, for people to be able to see what's going on that only you know about. And you know, I know maybe not all the listeners would resonate with this, but 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just, and he will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. And so I needed to go back to the things that I knew, but I needed to start to apply that to my life, and tell myself like, it's going to be okay, because God does actually love me. And that was the thing that really, really tore me up, was that I was convinced that God didn't love me. I was convinced that if I was open with others around me, that they would not care for me the way that I thought they would. And the total opposite was true. And so when I actually opened up to people, I was then able to get out of bed. Like it got bad. It was a point where I was like, I just don't. I felt like I was going to be a burden to just even be alive anymore, and that was a sad place to be in. So if that's you, listener, I want to encourage you that there is help, and that God does love you. There are people in your life that do love you, and that's part of the reason why we wrote this book.
Yeah, I think one thing that's so interesting too about what you're saying is that to be vulnerable is one of these words that we throw around and everybody pretends like they know what it means, right? I mean, and I'm going to give a definition. This doesn't mean it's the only definition, but to be vulnerable, right, is to take off the armor and show how to kill you. Like basically to be vulnerable is to show your weakness and say, hey, here it is. I love what Seneca said. Seneca said, if someone openly criticizes you, you should confront that person. And of course, all of us think, well, yeah, this is where you argue, right? No, you should confront that person and show him greater evidence that he's right. Like, in other words, if he says that you're always late, you should go give him 3 examples of how he has no idea how bad you are. You don't even know the 3 other things I was late to, right? Like, go give him all the ammunition. Like, go to your enemy and just say, hey, here's, if I was going to kill me, here's how I would do it. Because socially, like obviously if we're in actual war and you're in actual armor and I am too, and we're trying to kill each other, I mean, first off, I'm probably going to win because I'm 6'4" and 330, but I'm just kidding around. But no, but like
Sounds
if in
legit.
I
an
want you on
actual
my team. That's right.
in in actual war, that's a bad thing. But in social situations, we're not in actual war. Like the people around us are our friends. They're not your enemies. Like, and I think there's this like kind of thing that creeps in your mind that, well, I don't know. That, you know, I don't know who that is. And then I don't know immediately means possible enemy. And I understand where that comes from. I mean, I understand we want to be careful, but we start thinking if they really see me, then they would hate me, right? And the opposite is the truth, guys, because guess what? Every single person has that thing that's wrong with them. And when you say what's wrong with you, they're going to see what's wrong with them. And it actually opens the door to a conversation socially, right? It's an important thing.
Yep.
Vulnerable just means showing where you're crappy. And I know that's a very basic, but I just think it's so important that we don't just use the word vulnerable and then assume
Yeah.
everybody like, hey, will you show me how you're weak? You know, and
Yep.
if you will, then I can trust you because I know I'm weak too, because that is also something that unifies all people is weakness, right? We have, yes,
Right.
we have great strength and we have great weakness.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that is the exact place for community and for relationship to begin is in that place of vulnerability. I love that definition. And because yeah, not only are you showing something about yourself and letting them see something about yourself, you're also communicating to them that they're safe to do the same thing with you. Right. Like if you're willing to show where that spot is, where they could kill you, okay, then I must be okay to share mine back with that person. And one of the things we've talked about a lot with guys, with men, in terms of building relationship, is a real secret weapon is just asking for help. And that could be as simple as like fixing something on your car or in your house, or knowing how to smoke a brisket. We were talking to somebody about that. Whatever it is, like asking another man for help in something that you're weak in something that you don't know about or you're inexperienced in, immediately builds a bridge with that person, right? Where as guys, we want to help, we want to jump in and fix it and use our skills and our knowledge. And so if you're willing to take that step towards someone and say, hey, this is something I'm struggling with. This is somewhere I'm weak. Could you help me? Man, you've taken a huge step towards relationship that's going to make both of you better moving forward.
Yeah, we had Carl going back to Laguna Neighbor, the one guy who talked to us. He restored cars. I'll never forget. He
Yeah.
restored cars, and he called me one day, and he's like, "Hey, I need your help," because he's got an older guy. And so I walked over with my son, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to pick up this engine block." And I'm like, an engine, like, dude, I mean, I'm big, but I don't know if I can pick up an engine. He's like, no, it's fine. It's a VW. So if you don't know, the
There you
engine
go.
block on a VW weighs about 100 pounds. It's not that big a deal. I didn't know. I was like, man, I'm going to kill myself. But you
Right.
know, we went over and he had this just beautifully restored car, just incredible VW, back to original condition, you know, and um, beautiful. My son is there. He's 6 years old. We put the engine in, it was just a really cool thing. And then like a week later, Carl gets a new car. And so he calls me. He's like, "Hey man, I got my new car. I sold the other one. I got my new car. You got to come check this out." And so I tell Liam, my son, I'm like, "Hey Liam, we're gonna go see Carl's new car." Now remember, the first one was just beautifully restored. And we get over there. Well, this is the one he's restoring, so it just looks like
Mm.
crap. Like it's just
Yeah.
rusty and broken down. It's in pieces, literally. And I'll never forget my son saying, "This is the new car." Like, wait, Carl, why did you do that? Like your other car was nice. And what was cool is like Carl's like, no, I could put it together. Like this car is gonna look better than the last one. And Liam lit up. And then Liam, of course, does what every kid does to his dad. And he says, "Dad, you know how to do that?" And I was like, "No way, dude. Dad couldn't do. No, Dad needs it together. Like, thank goodness for guys like Carl. Dad has no idea how to do this. But if we have a car problem, guess what we can do? We can walk across and ask Carl, which happened several times while we lived there, right? That's strength. Because like you
Yep.
can't be all things. Like you can be anything, but you can't be everything. But with a community, you can be anything and everything as long as you're willing to show up for other people. I mean, I love it, guys. Like if you were gonna sum up the point or the moral of the story of your book in one line, what would it be?
We've said
And
this
while
a
they're
number
while
of
they're thinking
times.
about that,
Yeah.
guys, we're going to be coming to you for questions. You young men, Q, I know you have questions. I know there's some good stuff here. This is a great call. Thank you guys for being here. These are great mentors. So get queuing up your questions. We'll be coming to you right after this.
Cool. Yeah, I would say community is possible and community is powerful is a short way of saying what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I think,
Community is
I,
I love that.
yeah, I think it's like, to sum it up is like, there are a lot of barriers to community and relationship in our world today. Some of those barriers are outside of us, some of those barriers are inside of us. But when we're willing to face those barriers, first in us and then the ones that exist just in our culture, in our world, um, yeah, that's where we see community start to happen, relationships start to happen, and it is powerful. It's life changing, and again, we're better together in relationship, in community. That's just what we were made for, and when we move towards that, it benefits us and it benefits the people around us.
What's really interesting, when I ask people, "Hey, what's the most powerful thing in the ocean?" A lot of people immediately go to like a great white shark, right? But actually, orcas eat great white sharks for fun. They don't actually eat them, they just kill them, right? Why? Because they have community, because there's 8 or 9 of them. And then there's this
Mhm.
one shark who's like individually as powerful as the orca, but has no chance against the community, right? If you take the top fighter of all time, the number one biggest, baddest guy, like Brock Lesnar's side, but with Conor McGregor's ability, and you put him against 5 people, he loses. Like it's what it is. He doesn't even need 5 people, right? This is the strength of humanity. And again, on a spiritual level, on a biological level, on a social level, on every level of who we are, even our DNA, guys, you realize that your DNA is a community. Your DNA is one half mom, one half dad, twisted in a circle, twisted into a community. You got one cell of mom, one cell of dad, twisted into a community, and it creates trillions and trillions of what ends up being you, right? Even down to our core, we are community. I love this topic. I love that you guys are putting this book out here. And we're going to get to some questions. We're going to go with Coach David Wells. But yeah, young men, I'm just going to start calling on you. You guys get ready for your questions. You're coming. I'm going to get Coach David on here. He's taking a bigger and bigger role inside of the Apogee Strong young man community. And I'm going to get him on here for his first question.
Hey, Jim, I appreciate you stepping in today and sharing with all of us and especially sharing your book with the world. I grew up a kid of the 70s. I can remember not having fences in the backyard. And then,
Mhm.
if someone were to get a dog, you got a 4 foot chain link fence. So you got really proficient at, jumping 4 foot fences. And it seems like nowadays, you're talking about barriers. I know you're probably talking more, social barriers, but even today, and neighborhoods are filled with 6 foot privacy fences that are physical barriers that prevent the community from happening. So I would assume that that's part of the reason bringing the party to the front is because of not only the any social barriers that may exist, but also the physical barriers. Um,
Yep.
was that your experience growing up? Did you do things in the front yard, or was it always in the back? And this is something that you just recognized a change that had to occur for the community that maybe you experienced younger to bring to the present. Just curious.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Coach David. I think that we have a term in the book called isolation creep. And we've noticed as we got into this book, some of those barriers that you're talking about, and as we both, some context too, both Jeff and I, we have families, we both have 5 kids, so big families. And so when we moved into our neighborhoods, we just noticed these barriers that were happening, and obviously over time you've got garage doors, you've got even things like the air conditioning. In the 70s you probably did slip and slides and things because obviously there was air conditioning then, but like not everyone probably had air conditioning, and what's one way to just cool off? Well, go in your front yard and do a slip and slide. So just things over time,
And all the kids in the neighborhood came over.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
whoever's parents were the cool parents of the day set up the slip and slide.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so we've noticed this isolation creep, and yes, we absolutely are mentioning in the book kind of some of those physical barriers like that. And so our encouragement, is to then recognize that and do something about it. And getting from the back to the front is just a real practical way.
Yeah, I think for me, David, growing up, maybe we were in a little bit of a kind of transition phase where, we had like TVs in every home and video games started to become more of a thing. But I just remember spending so much time outside in general and just all the neighborhood kids. It was just kind of like, what are we all going to do today? And we just go running around and go to different people's houses. And so, yeah, that's definitely changed where we've actually had neighbors come to us when our kids have been outside playing and said, I just saw that they were out here by themselves. Like, I don't know if they should be out there like without an adult watching them, and it's kind of like, okay, I appreciate your concern, but also like they're kids, man, like let them run. We live in a pretty safe neighborhood. And like, there's just so much fear and anxiety, I think, in our culture today. We were talking earlier about when the doorbell rings and how when I grew up, when the doorbell would ring, we'd like run to the door. Like, who is it? And what's being delivered, and is it a neighbor or a friend or a family member or whatever? Now the doorbell rings and I swear it's like we freak out. Like, what is it? What's wrong? Who is here? Turn the lights off, be quiet. And so it just definitely there's been a major cultural shift that we need to recognize is making it harder for us to get to know our neighbors, to move towards other people, and we're going to have to address some of those things if we're going to overcome them.
That's great awareness, and I appreciate you guys sharing that with these younger men for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
you.
Yeah, so another thing that's happened too beyond the physical fences is the playground has changed. When I was young, being inside was the worst possible punishment that anybody can being inside in your room was there was very little I wanted to do less than that. I would happily mow the lawn before I would be inside. But today with video games and Xbox, we have that in my house too. It's not like I'm against it, but it is, you're together, but you're alone. You're alone together, which is very different than we're together. Like, we're actually being together, right? We got another question from James Schott kicking off for the young men. Thank you for being brave enough to ask. Let me go ahead and spotlight you here, James. There we go. And you can ask whatever question you'd like, man.
I was curious, sir. And first, thank you so much for coming on today. We all really appreciate it. And do you guys have any advice for how to find a community and how to be beneficial to a community?
James, thanks for being brave and asking that. Can you give me a little bit of context where you're living? Do you live in an apartment? Do you live in a neighborhood? Yeah, what's some context, and then we can help you.
I live close to a neighborhood. I don't actually live in one, sadly. I
Okay.
don't live in an apartment either. So I don't have
Yeah,
many people close by, sadly. But I have a neighborhood like just, I don't know, like less than a mile away that I can walk to. So
sure. Are you homeschooled? Do you go to a school? What stage of life are you with education?
I'm homeschooled, and next year I'm going to be going to high school, and I'm going to go to like a building.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I would assume that maybe you live on an acreage, is that, or a farm?
So,
Okay, cool. Um, it, I I was living on a farm in that same time when I was really struggling, and um, and so I was in a very similar context where you're at, and actually the one person that I feel like God provided for me was right across the street, believe it or not, and he was training for the Citadel, which is the military academy in South Carolina, and I was not wanting to get out of bed, but I had to because in order to live with that family, they said you're going to be milking the cow at 7 a.m. every morning. So that was my reason for getting out of bed, even though I didn't want to. And then started seeing the neighbor outside. I noticed that he was running. I was a college athlete and a former college athlete. And so I just said, hey, do you want a running buddy? And that was my way of living out on a farm to connect with someone else other than a cow. And so I would just encourage you in your case, if you feel comfortable walking or running to the park or the neighborhood, like I would just try to find some connection that way. And maybe there's let's say a Facebook group that if that neighborhood has, or I mean, you just go to one of those parks in that neighborhood, and I think you'll probably find someone that you can connect with that way.
Yeah. And I'd encourage you, James, just to think about, yeah, what interests do you have? What passions do you have? Is that video games? Is that sports? Is that reading? Whatever it is. And then think about the people in your life and maybe, how you could extend an invitation around that experience or that hobby, whatever it is. And that's a little bit harder. It is easier when there's just people right around and you can invite them to come over and play a game of basketball or whatever. But I think maybe you could get creative and think like, hey, I want to do, a video game night or whatever, and I want to invite some people over. Like, how can you get the word out through, your social network about that, or, or maybe even go just like walk through that neighborhood that's a mile away and put some flyers out like, hey, video game night on Friday, like come and we'll have snacks or whatever. Like, and that might seem overwhelming, but like, hey, just find a few people that enjoy similar things and start there. A lot of times I think we build it up to like, man, we got to come up with some huge thing and find ways to connect with people. A lot of times that opportunity is already there. We just got to think about the things that we enjoy and that we like doing, and then invite some other people to be a part of it with you.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask you a question, James, too. If I would encourage you to ask people that you, let's say, are in your homeschooling community or whatever, like, hey, what do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you, what do you like to do in your free time? And I want to give you an answer too, if that'll help me with some context. What do you like to do in your free time?
Hmm. I mean, like my hobbies are like cyber. I enjoy biology. I have a microscope. Cybersecurity. I'm on a cyber team. Um, a lot of STEM related things.
Mhm. Well,
Like,
in that case, then I would just say like the things that you're passionate about, I would try to find opportunities to where you can use the things that you're excited about already to serve other people, and you will then build community if you find an opportunity to serve someone else with what you're already doing.
thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Thanks, James. Appreciate you, man. One thing to think about too is a community is like if you look at the screen right now, I am not in a community, but Ty and Jeff are in one. It really takes one person. I think sometimes we overcomplicate
Yeah.
this, and especially in the
Yep.
day of social media where it's like, well, he has 100 million followers. Well, yeah, but a great community, like honestly, if the whole world fell away and it was just me and my wife, I would miss my kids. I'd be sad about that. But other than that, we'd be pretty good. Like that's a pretty dang good community. Like it only takes like a couple people to make a powerful community. Like you want to change the whole world, you don't need thousands of people. You need 4 or 5 guys. I mean, look at the revolutionary leaders, like the founding fathers. I mean, you're really talking about 20 dudes, who then kind of found 100 guys, and then it got bigger and bigger. But you don't need a huge community. I mean, we had 6 kids in my neighborhood when I was little, and we were thick as thieves, and we all knew how to break into each other's windows, and we all knew when everybody's curfew was. And I mean, it just, you don't need a lot. It starts with one person, and then that'll grow from there. Ty, you wanted to add something? We had a little glitch and
Nope.
you went silent.
Oh, no, you're
Jeff?
great. I was just saying, I appreciate that insight.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's really fantastic. I think again, we build up these things to be harder than I think they are. Like there are legitimate challenges, but also like I think sometimes we think, man, we gotta have this big group, or we gotta throw this big thing. Even the idea of party in the front, like some of the things we talk about in the book are like just being in the front yard with a cup of coffee, or we did popsicle nights in our neighborhoods, or ice cream or whatever, or set up a fire and have a s'mores night. Like there's just simple things that like almost anybody regardless of age and stage might enjoy. And just take simple steps, and like you said, even 1 or 2 people, and man, you might have great community that buds from that. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, and I think also, guys, like your whole world is also your community. If you're at a restaurant and you have a server, that person's part of your community. If you're at church and there's someone
Right.
walking by, or the person standing next to you in the grocery store line. I mean, I guess just because of where I'm from, that's how we live. Like if you're around us, you're part of our community, and we talk. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I'm going to give you my bank card and the PIN number to it, but it does mean like we're occupying space on the same planet. And what's amazing is when you reach out to that community that's already there, you will feel more and more powerful. I have many friends who are like, I don't understand how you can just walk into a room and everyone will give you attention. And it's funny to me because I know the secret. If you want to know the secret, young man, how to walk into the room and have the whole room light up and look at you, walk into the room and be genuinely interested in everyone else there. I that's it. I really listen to people. I really make eye contact when I meet someone, whether I want to meet them or not. If we're there, let's go. Like I'm there with those people. And so what's really happening is I'm just paying attention, and people notice someone paying attention to them, and they're interested by that. What I see so often, guys, is someone walks in the room and they're like head down, not making eye contact, scared. Well, of course, no one's going to connect with you because there's nothing to connect with. Your eyes, right? And forever we've said they're the window to the soul, but they really are. Your eyes are that social connection in a room. And if you're willing to walk in and just make eye contact with everyone, you are different than 99% of people who walk into a room. And that is a way of being vulnerable, because what? In order for you to see my eyes, right? In order for me to see your eyes, you have to see mine. And I have to be open to like you seeing whatever's behind there. Hey, walk in with confidence, guys. Be interested in other people. That's why they'll like you. They won't like you because you're awesome. They'll like you because you're interested in them. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest fighters of all time, he beat the crap out of George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle, and they became best friends. And they asked him, like, what was it about him? And he said, man, when you were with him, you just felt like no one else was on the planet. Like he was just so intensely focused on you that you just wanted everything great for him because you mattered to him. So if you let other people matter to you, you'll matter to them. Guys, where do we find you? Thank you. It's been a great episode. Great recap. Where can we find you, and what are your parting words here for the young men in this network?
Yeah, thanks. I think the easiest way to find us is on Instagram, Party in the Front Book. And if you have questions for us, you can send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. If you are doing things, we'd love to see some ideas, and you can tag us in that. We can then share on your behalf. Yeah, Jeff, do you have any other parting words?
And our book is available. It's on Amazon, so you can order it. It's relatively affordable, and order a copy on Amazon. Or if you get in touch with us on Instagram, we've got a bunch of author copies, we could probably get you one just for free. We'll just throw that out there. So if you message us on Instagram, we'll hook you up. But certainly you can order copies on Amazon as well. And yeah, Instagram's a great place. We're on Facebook too. If you search Party in the Front Book, would love to connect with you, hear stories, encourage you. We're still learning in this too. We're a little bit older, but we're still learning, and so we love ideas and helping each other again in community as we learn to do these things better. So just would love to connect with any of you guys.
Perfect. And as I said that, we got one more in the chat. I'm sure that he has a great question, Bodie. I know you're going to think of a question. I'm putting you on the spot because this is what men do for other men. We throw you in the deep end and say, I promise you can swim. So I'm going to throw you in, man. What would you love to learn from these guys who've taken a lot of time out of their schedule? We thank them to be here for you.
Well, nice to meet you, sir. I'm Bodie. Thank you guys for coming on the call. It's really nice to meet you. I actually know of you, sir, Mr. Dillon. I've actually seen some videos about you a while back, and good to meet you, sir. My question is, those of us who kind of stand out from the crowd of like normal teenagers, we like for example, I've been going to a youth group at a local church for the past 2 months, and I've been going there. I easily talk with everybody. I have easy conversations with everyone. I'm just friendly with everybody. I don't have a hard time talking with anyone. But I'm still kind of on the outside, and it's really cliquey there. They're all like normal, like high school, like middle school teenagers and kids, and it's hard to connect with them because I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like I don't know how to connect with them because they're all so interested in things that I don't care about, like focusing on the whatever is trending currently, like memes on the internet, stuff like that. I'd rather have like a meaningful conversation or talk about things we're both interested in that make a difference for each other and stuff. And it's hard to do that when it's just as a young man like me, and as a lot of us, we're kind of different than the average teenager. It's hard to connect. Do you have any ideas?
Thank you, Bodie, for sharing that and your vulnerability in that. And man, yeah, that's a tough spot to be when you feel like you're kind of the odd man out. And but I would encourage you, first and foremost, that's actually a really great place to be in a lot of ways. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's kind of a great place to be because it puts you in a position where you can really carve your own path and you can be a leader. It's so easy to get sucked up into the crowd. That's maybe the downside of community, is we just do whatever everybody else is doing. But you have an opportunity to kind of forge your own path. And I think people will see that as you pursue, what God has for you and who he's made you to be. People are going to see that, and the right people are going to be attracted to join you in that. But one practical thing I can think of is like, I always think in a room, especially a group of people I don't know, and especially when I feel a little bit out of place, and that happens to me all the time still as a pastor, even in my early 40s, like I still feel that way sometimes. And what I look for is I look for the one person, like the one person. And what I mean by that is like, usually in a room, there's one person that you can tell, like maybe kind of feels similarly, feels a little left out. The one person that's kind of just like not real interested in the conversation, or maybe has been kind of left alone, or a person that's struggling. I know I've had men in situations like that come up to me just like, hey, seems like you're kind of stressed out right now. Like, how are you? Look for that one conversation and just move towards that one person and see what happens from there. So, that's something I'd encourage you with. And, it's hard sometimes to like approach a whole group and like, hey, but like, look for that one person that maybe there's an opportunity to connect with, start there and see where it goes.
Thank you, sir.
And I may add too, like, think about going to a dance. Like, if you've ever been to a dance, sometimes it's really awkward in either middle school or high school. And if no one's out on the dance floor, and then let's say there's one person that has the is brave and gets out there. Okay, so now you got one person dancing. And sure, he's a leader. He took the step to get out there. But honestly, I think that one of the most important people in making this a successful dance is the second person to then recognize, like, hey, I'm going to join with you. You might look goofy, but I'm going to join you out there flailing or whatever, and you can get out there and dance. So if you are in a room, and it's important obviously to look for people that might be struggling, but it's also important, I think, when you can fan someone else's flame and get them going. So I just want to encourage you there to seek those people out that might be trying to lead and do something against the grain, and then you can go fan that flame.
Good, then I'm right on track. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I want
Thanks,
to add
Bodie.
to that. I want to add to that, Bodie. If you are a teenager and you feel like you don't fit in, that is maybe the one universal thing about being a teenager. So, in other words, you actually fit in with everyone, because I promise you, everyone in the room is feeling that same thing. And the reason that cliques exist, is because everybody's feeling uncomfortable, and so they want to be. Imagine if every clique was a t-shirt color. And it's like, well, how do I know I fit in? Well, they're wearing a green shirt. I'll just put a green shirt on. And that doesn't really mean they fit in. It just means if I wear the green shirt, then at least I know I have a green shirt. And so I have some title of fitting in. The truth is, not even at your age, because at 50, I feel the same way. Even right now on this call, I can feel that. Nobody ever feels like they perfectly fit in, because nobody really ever does perfectly fit in. But,
Yeah,
I would say you're like everyone else. Like, don't think you're not like everyone else. You are. You're nervous. You want people to like you. You feel like the thing you like is not as cool, or they're not going to think it's as cool because they don't understand it. Cool. Everybody else is thinking the same thing. I would also
yeah,
say there's a lot of value in crossing over and taking the
yeah,
thing that you think is dumb and trying it. Be like, hey, show me what's the most popular meme right now. And then be like, all right, let me tell you what I'm doing right now. And then you'll find there's this
yeah,
really magical thing that can happen. Somebody has to take a risk.
yeah.
you know
And I'm about as far from nervous or awkward in a room as anyone can be. It's just like the way I communicate. I communicate at a very high level, which is unusual for teenagers, for people my age. I talk like a 30, 40-year-old, like high level speaking, eloquent words. I make my points, things like that. Whereas most other like people my age are just like spewing off random stuff just to spew them off. And that's part of the problem with me, where
well,
I'm like,
so what
I'm an
age of
old.
friend? No, but what age of friend do you want?
Well, I have a few buddies in there that I've kind of connected with, but I'm still trying to build that close like group of friends that I can like build on.
Okay, cool.
Like
So this is,
like
look, I promise you, if you look at the men on this call, most of them are
yeah,
would say that exact same thing. So at 50, like,
yeah,
here's my question: how would you know that you have them? Because this is the real answer, right? Because this is true, like in family. This is because I think it was Ty earlier said he came from a broken home. I have a little bit different opinion of that. I think, like, okay, a divorce, but it just made a really big home that was complicated, right? Like, he's not broken because of that. He's a kid who had a family just like everyone else. It just looked different, right? But that
yeah.
being said, right, how would you know you had that tight unit? Because when you can answer,
Probably
go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
probably once we both realize, hey, we're gonna stick together through hell or high water, no matter what. I can call you to bury a dead body with me in the middle of the night. You can call me, that kind of thing. It's like
Okay,
we're like others from other mothers, basically.
how would you know that? Whenever you had that with someone, how would you know?
I don't know because I haven't really had that yet.
Okay, perfect. So, but think about it, because I'll tell you the secret, guys. If you want to know how to make friends, and this is the same way you make girlfriends. Okay, so I know you're getting to an age where you're going to be interested in girlfriends. This is the
Another
same
problem I
tactic.
have.
There you go. Easy. It's so easy. You ready? This is how you make a friend. You walk up to someone you don't know and you say, "Hi," and then you say your name. So my name's Kevin. So, hey, I'm Kevin. You want to be friends?
Sure.
Hey, I'm Kevin. I feel kind of awkward here, but I'd love to talk to someone. You want to talk? Why would that work? As dumb as that is, because everybody else in the room, Bodie, wants to connect as much as you do.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that. It is innate, right? If we want that. Remember I said that's the key with girlfriends too.
Yeah.
hey, you are really pretty and I just want to talk to you and I'm probably not going to do a good job of it. Man, there you go. That's as good as anything else. Because the truth is, whatever you say, it's not about what you're saying, it's about what we're feeling, right? So remember when you're in that moment of like, well, these kids probably can't connect with me because I'm so much better than them and I talk like a 30-year-old. No, get down out of that, man. Like, then go down and be 16 for a little while. Try it on. Hey, maybe there's some funny memes. Because there was a war at my kitchen table, Bodie. My oldest two daughters were like the meme queens. They only talked in memes. It was so maddening to me because I'm like, I don't even know what the hell you're saying. Like, there's a whole language happening at the table, and you guys say things, and then the whole table's laughing, and I don't even know what we're talking about. Like six,
I
seven, what the
don't
hell's
get it.
6, 7? Like, I don't even know what that means,
That's
but
exactly
everyone
what I'm
laughs when I
feeling.
say it, right? Okay, cool.
Oh,
And I
I'll
was
hate
like
it.
that. Yeah, your mom hates it too. I get it. So, but
Oh,
That's
brother,
awesome.
I
brother.
would get, what's up, man? I was so mad, right? But then you know what I did? I realized maybe I had a little bit of the problem. Like maybe I should just go figure out what it is. So I was like, hey, well, show me what this stuff is. And then we kind of start talking. And then all of a sudden, I never am going to be into that like they're into that. But then I realized, oh, they had some cool value there. And those memes were kind of funny. I still have some that I'll send them. I pretended for a long time, Bodie, that I thought that Snapchat was snack chat. And so I would send my kids pictures of food and tell them I'm snack chatting them. Hey, let's snack chat.
That's
And
great.
they're like,
I
no,
want to be a
Dad, it's
part of
not
that.
Snapchat, right? It's just I'm like, no, it's snack chat, right? Because I wouldn't let them have it, so I pretended I didn't know what it was. But anyway, the thing is though, like, hey, just go have fun and just be whatever the dumb thing you're thinking is. Because I'm telling you, if I could have learned something at 12, whatever the dumb thing you're thinking is the best possible thing to lead with.
Hmm.
You're the most pretty girl I've ever seen, and I don't even know how to talk right now. That's a great lead in to saying hello to a girl that you want to talk to,
That
okay?
doesn't feel
Because
like it should make sense. That doesn't feel like it should work, but it
I
freaking
know,
works.
because you know what she's thinking? Oh my gosh, this guy might talk to me. What am I going to say? Like she's thinking the same thing you're thinking, right? Like, I mean, opposite,
Yeah.
not maybe exactly the same, but in other words, like what, because here's the cool thing. Remember what I said, right? We're the only species that can what? We can clap together because we
Yeah.
can imagine together. When I say banana and then monkey and then giraffe and then airplane, everybody just painted a picture together, all of us, and then had monkeys and giraffes and airplanes, right? No other species does this. So when you're walking up nervous to talk to a girl, guess what? She already knows everything you're thinking. She already does.
Mhm.
She just feels it. I mean, she might not be able to say it word for word. Just like when you see somebody walking up to you, you have a pretty good feel for like what's going on. So why not just be honest? Yeah, why not just be honest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because the
humility is contagious. People want to be around people that are interested in them, like you said, Kevin, and just kind of having that mentality of like when you go into a room, don't say like, "Hey, here I am." Just having that mentality, like there you are,
Mhm.
and go seek those people out.
It's good.
all right. Thank you, Bodie, for not having a question. That was a pretty dang good one. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah. I didn't
Great.
even have a question until you called on me. I was like, what?
Perfect.
So,
Don't say that
like,
because then I'm going to call on everyone. Everyone else is going to hate you for saying that. All right, guys, thank you for being here with us. I really, really appreciate this time. We're going to keep going and debrief for just a minute with the young men. We do a little bit of what they learn and where we're going. But Ty, Jeff, thank you for being here. Your book, Party in the Front, which is the front yard. And I'd never even thought, like Coach David had said earlier, I never even thought that our backyards didn't used to be separate. That's true. In my life too. Like there were fences, but you could jump them so easy, they might as well not have been there. The fences were for dogs, not for people, right? And yeah, thank you for bringing this. If you want to say, if you have any last words, not last words of your life, but last words on the podcast, you're welcome to it. But thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to encourage you guys and your team. This is really cool what you're doing, and young men out there, this is a real gift that they're pouring into you. So be sure to thank them.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us.
thanks,
Thank
sir.
you. We'll see you.